Thank you. Thank you. Haskowi kwasan na tonkwasan okhan. Hayo hajena sepaset no tabaranta mukash kana leje biantamaye bitako yohana. Hayo hajenan dokwasan okana nayanta kwata no kwasho. Hayo hajena timiko hoga oskedam. Hayo jona kietan pishpamontamanat webe nishno pazuko akio haje. Haje negonishik yo haje piamakisuk. Hayo haje manito hana. Sepaset no tabaranta mukash yukisuk. Inachea. Skowi kwasan yo hajena. In 1620, the separatist English coming off the Mayflower might have heard a language like that. It's an amazing, miraculous reality that that language is still spoken. I want to share with you another miraculous development. I am so inspired by the energy in this room. You know, snippets of experience that I've had and that I'm having, you know, is this delicate weave of emotion, inspiration. I'm often citing important teachers in my life in a classroom, you know. And one of the more prominent teachers is Master Yoda. And Master Yoda kind of delicately, but in an elderly fashion, you know, enables us and empowers us, you know, to think beyond the boxes that we're given, you know. And I hear this so instructively today. Creativity, you know. I think our political leaders need to be poets and artists, because your artists of that caliber are using that creativity all the time. And we need to be creative about this interweave that I often refer to as the human frontier. The only frontier that humanity has consistently, out of our fear-based realities that we've created, have consistently avoided. So I want to share with you some ideas. What you see here printed is what Columbus brought here to this part of the world. You know, envision, if you can, the Western Hemisphere, separated from the rest of the world, a great island. All the world is over here, the Western Hemisphere is here. Throughout the Western Hemisphere, there were only indigenous Native American peoples living in the entire Western Hemisphere. We're all different from each other, different experiences, different languages, you know. But common, one common thread that bound us all together was an increasingly deep abyss of love, of gratitude. And it amazes me that despite what has happened since Columbus, that gratitude and that love still exists. You know, we're all indigenous to the world. We're all, as humanity knows, we only know one existence, and that's tribal, our togetherness. You know, the only thing that really separates, you know, I'll pick on Orono since I live there most of the time. The only thing that separates tribal Orono with tribal Wabanaki just down the road is that the Wabanaki are still connected to the land in a very fundamental, very deep love for everything. And tribal Orono is connected and based on abstracts, ideas. The only difference. And what I've heard today really inspires me, and what I hear in the classroom really inspires me. But we have to change this scenario. We have to change, you know, the perpetuality of being mean and being in a mean state of being. You know. I want to bring you back to this. Do you remember almost a year ago, Friday, December 21st, 2012, when the world was going to end? And people believed that. Why? Because Indians were saying that. The Mayan calendar, the Mayan thinking, indigenous thinking, what they were describing was a new era. You know, December 21st, 2012 was the beginning of a new era, a new cycle of 5,000 years. We had just come through a cycle of 5,000 years. And out of that previous cycle of 5,000 years, we went through a series of 13 heavens and 9 hells. The 9th hell ended in November 1987, and for a period of 25 years, known as the Age of Flowers, was to determine whether the next cycle we would begin with heaven or hell. Heaven is defined as the condition of our spirit, of our bodies, what motivates us, you know. Based on that love, what motivates us, you know. Our mind, our body intermingled with the great sacred. We call the great sacred God, Manitou, however we define that. You know. In hell, well, we're in it, you know. A state of meanness. You know, and you in this room, you come here, you're inspired, you're seeking something that's different from being mean. Mean-based realities, fear-based realities create that meanness we don't know. We need an ancient form of wisdom. It's in us, as Voot was talking about, it's in our genes. We're not like that as a species. It's in our genes. It's called love. But love that's activated, love that's put out there, love is founded in everything that we do. When we can get to that point of tribal existence, then we have come home. The Wabanaki, this is the present state of Wabanaki. The Wampum Belt is the Confederacy belt of the Wabanaki. The Wabanaki Confederacy has existed prior to the arrival of Columbus. It still meets today. It is the basis of how Maine got to be Maine and how the United States got to be the United States. You know. In its existence, the Confederacy has managed to hang on to that thread that Gluskop had implored us to remain ourselves, because there's a whole new wave of something coming here, and that something wasn't friendly. You know. And we managed to hold on. You know, despite the political and the socioeconomic ramifications of that hate-based meanness that was brought here and had manifested throughout our whole 500-year existence together, hurting everybody, not just Indian country, but everybody. Mohammed's passion speech basically stole my fire. Is an experience of every person of color that's ever come here through the United States. But the reality of it is none of us want to live like that. None of us, you know. And that support that Gluskab had told the Wabanaki, my northern cousins. I come from Nauset, Mashpee Otan Nauset. It's on what's now Cape Cod, you know. And I have such a love for the people here, for the Wabanaki. I've had this 40-year love for the people here, you know. And I married a Wabanaki from the far north and lived in her community for over 20 years. We raised our children there. And part of the time we spend up there and part of the time we spend here. It's been a great honor and privilege to be at the University of Maine. And everything that I've ever done in my life was a construction on that primary basic tenet of love. Love for everything. Every morning I get up, I can't tell you how appreciative that everything is working, you know. And there's an understanding that we understand the life above our heads and the life below our feet and everything between that. It could be the sky and the earth. And everything between sky and earth, everything is connected. Everything. Even people. You know. And that way of being, you know, has helped me grow as a human being. And I'm so grateful, thankful, you know. And I'm so grateful for this present incarnation of this work, the Maine-Wabanaki Child Welfare Truth and Reconciliation Commission. In our parallel organization, the Maine-Wabanaki Reach, are fronting this opportunity. You know, Indian country is the elephant in the room. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to acknowledge, because what does that mean to honor the treaties? What does that mean to acknowledge that we are on the homelands of Indian country? I'm not from Maine. Maine is from me. Maine is occupying, you know. And this is the first such truth and reconciliation that involves Indigenous peoples. We are working together, state and Indigenous peoples. And frankly, I didn't think Maine had it in them. That's not been our experience, but it is now. It is now. And every one of us in this room has an obligation, as it was said earlier, you know, to work together, you know, to begin to dismantle that elephant in the room. You know, I have a plan. I have a plan for you. You know, and that plan is based on love, but it's also based on, you know, to enact that love and to know why we're doing what we need to do. So, we're doing this work. There's the governor right there with the leaders of the Wabanaki communities. An historic signing last June. You know, in that signing, you know, the TRC was officially seated this February, and we've been spending the last 6 months creating the infrastructure. And that, you know, the reality is that we're going to be dealing with pain, with stories that people have kept in their hearts. You know, the condition, the socioeconomic strata in most of the communities in Indian country is deplorable. They're even worse than third world countries here in the United States. And there's a reason for that. There's a deliberate policy, you know, forcibly removing children from their families for absolutely no cause because they're Indian. And the impact that that's had, the painful impact that that's had, is what the TRC is going to address. In 1978, it took the United States a long time to reach to that point in 1978 to create the Indian Child Welfare Act, a way of recognizing that when you remove a Native American child from their family and from their community, that destroys that child. Even if that child is put in a foster place where they're loved and all, because of their nature, because of even the color of their skin, you know, they know at some point they're different. And that void and that gap does something to them. And it has debilitated whole communities and whole nations. and for the state of Maine to embrace what they have done since 1978 in violation of a federal law, in violation of the constitutional mandate that these treaties were based on. But here we are, side by side, about to embark on a journey of the human frontier. And I'm so grateful to be part of that. I'm so grateful for an opportunity to give back in a demonstration to the Wabanaki communities here that I so dearly love. I have some colleagues in the room who are dearly part of this work. And I want my wife to also stand up in this. I want you guys to stand up so you know who's working on this. You know. Yes. So what you see on the screen is my plan for you. I love that saying from the Chinese. No matter, there are many paths to the summit, but the view is always the same. There's a place for every one of us, on the mountain of life. And I want you to do a favor. Don't clap. Don't clap. I want these words to seep into your heart. I want you to join us in this effort. I heard just before I came here that the state of South Dakota is so inspired by what's happening in here in Maine, they're considering to do the same thing, working with the Indian country in South Dakota. People are watching this. People throughout the United States. Canada is undergoing a peace and reconciliation, a truth and reconciliation commission. We had a judge and a lawyer, an activist from South Africa, from their experience in the truth and reconciliation. The world is watching this. It's important work, and we all have a responsibility to work together to begin to dismantle this horrid experience, but to make this experience, one of absolute love. And Nkeketonseonqikom, watch your nutabadantamongashkanawan. No clap. In Nacheha.